The following is a presentation from PokerStars.com. So far on the big game, Daniel Negreanu was all smiles when the week began.
I like playing with these guys.
But by the end of night 2, he was changing his tune.
I never catch anything. So annoyed.
Tony G took his place as the table captain.
Rebuy, there goes the cash machine.
You are a machine, Tony.
While the loose cannon, Elizabeth Houston, saw her shift spring a leak.
It's a sick lay down. Oh, okay.
See if she can stay afloat and rebound tonight on the big game.
Buckle up.
This is the PokerStars.com Big Game.
Welcome to the big game from Las Vegas. Alongside Joe Stapleton, I'm Chris Rose, where tonight some of the world's best continue action in our state-of-the-art poker room. Right now, there's more than $1.5 million in cold, hard cash on the table.
The always loquacious Tony G is up $120K and now has the biggest stack in front of him the big game has ever seen.
David Pete, a.k.a. Viffer's been throwing money around and not a lot of it's coming back. He's stuck over 163 grand.
After 2 nights of yucking it up here at the big game, Will Reynolds is down a bit more than the usual 2-drink minimum. He's stuck 13-5.
The 05 main event champion Joe Hashem's been having a very good time this week. He's up over $94,000.
The loose cannon tonight is Elizabeth Houston from Alberta, Canada, whose dream job is to be a sports commentator. Oh, that's Chris's dream job, too. She's got her work cut out for her. Only gets to keep what she makes above the $100,000 she was staked, and right now she's lost almost $47,000 of that.
And tonight's final player is Daniel Negreanu. At one point this week, he was up over $160K, but his profits have dwindled down to $8,000. Right now, Daniel's with Amanda Leatherman.
Daniel, it's such a fun table out there this week, huh?
It is, man. Everybody's yappy. We got Tony G there. He's always yappy. We got the, Bill Reynolds. He's just like nonstop chit chat. So it's fun.
Yeah. Do you think our loose cannon still has a shot?
She's got one, but she's making really good laydowns. But at this point, she can't afford to do that anymore. She's only got like 50,000 left. It's time for her to start getting more aggressive and raising and not just limping in.
Well, maybe you'll bust another loose cannon.
I'm gonna try. I'll go for number 3. I've got 2 down. What?
Good luck.
Once again, each cannon staked 100 grand to play, keeps all winnings above the initial 100,000. And at season's end, the loose cannon who's won the most money earns a North American Poker Tour passport worth $50,000.
Elizabeth has some work ahead of her to overtake Nadia Magnus for that NAPT passport. Nadia leads all loose cannons at $63,600 in profit.
And Houston has just over 90 hands to get in the black and leapfrog Nadia. Action on the cannon.
She hasn't learned how to handle her cards overnight.
8, I'll call.
She calls Tony straddle with ace-10. Daniel calls, Joe's out.
All right, it's been straddled to 8, and there's a call and a call.
Queen 4 suited for William.
Only 600 more to call. For now.
Calculating his pot odds.
Reynolds calls, Viffer calls.
Could have raised, but he is out of position.
Check.
Tony checks.
Everybody but Joe this one in a straddled pot.
3 deuce 5.
Anyone could have anything here, including the small blind, which is me.
Williams open-ended.
Fires 2,000, Viffer folds, Tony folds.
Any 2,000 to see a turn.
Elizabeth has the best hand and a lot of outs if someone's only got a pair.
But she folds.
Well, what do I have? You probably already know.
Got a gut shot.
Huh?
And calls.
Well, you have a backdoor draw.
Daniel's also got 2 overs.
Deuce of hearts on the turn.
It's a heart. It's one of those flush draws.
Also paired the board. Gives you like your 5 deuce or something like that.
Williams trying to figure out if Daniel will fold to another bet.
5,500.
Okay.
He bets.
Don't shoot.
Not K.
Daniel folds.
Take it.
Take it. That's all they do.
So Will starts things off on a very good note as we take another look at the rules of the big game. Each table lasts exactly 150 hands. The action pre-flop is pot limit, then no limit after the flop. Blinds are 2 and 400 with a $100 ante, all of which is paid by the player on the button. Every player begins with at least 100 grand, but can reload for up to $500,000. This table loves action, so Daniel's straddling.
Canada's nothing like Australia.
No, in a way, it is.
In Australia, the Mounties ride kangaroos.
The vibe of the people.
No, just the way the country's structured because of it's a Commonwealth as well. It's a Commonwealth country.
Okay, like, yeah, in those
It used to be
regards.
the British colony, so the legal systems are similar.
Hashem and Viffer call.
Canada and Australia are very similar.
Very similar.
We have so many things in common.
Both share a mutual love of Paul Hogan and Jim Carrey.
The corruption is very low.
Tony G's in, cannon's out, and aces for Daniel.
Someone's debt is about to get corrupted.
Daniel raises to 5,000.
Despite the out-of-body stare, Joe might like his odds, especially if everyone calls behind.
Hashem calls. Viffer and Tony fold.
Look at that. We lost Viffer and Tony G.
Now that's an upset.
I didn't think we'd get that many out. Thought we'd have a family.
Surprised to see both those guys fold. Definitely hasn't been Viffer's week, though.
8 deuce 9.
Safe flop for Daniel's aces.
That's 6,500.
Doubly lucky for Daniel that this board isn't too scary for 2 4s.
Hashem calls. The turn, the 10 of spades. Daniel checks.
That turn has made a few draws and added some more. Joe could take a free card here.
And he does. The river, the king of hearts.
At this point, Joe's played it pretty passively, so Daniel might think it's safe to hunt for some value.
Negreanu fires 12.5 grand.
Daniel's bet is pretty small, and there aren't really any value bets that Joe can beat, so he can only call if he thinks this is a stone bluff.
We're going to be 1-all after this hand. You have to show me if you're bluffing, right?
Hashem folds.
Come on, I showed you.
Showed the ace. One of them.
Card.
That'll do.
That was good?
No, that wasn't good. But
That was like the same as not showing.
William's got a point. Seeing that one ace probably isn't going to make Joe sleep any better tonight, though he's still going to sleep on a big pile of money, so I don't feel too bad.
Yeah, Hashem has won nearly $11 million in live tournament winnings.
I think.
Stuffs his pillowcase with hundreds, I hear. He folds here. William Reynolds is out. Viffer, big slick.
This could help Viffer get out of the hole.
Raised to 1,200. Tony G, 6 high on the button, and disappointing. The cannon out, and Daniel folds 2.
No action for the Viffer.
I finally got aces.
The second walk of the day.
They look like aces to me.
So Viffer's frustrations continue after picking up big slick and getting no action. The big game is just getting going. Much more from Las Vegas coming your way after this. Welcome back to the big game, where Viffer has decided to pack it in for the night after losing more than 165 grand this week. His seat has been taken by Hoyt Corkins.
Hot Calkins. The Alabama Cowboy has built himself a nice resume, including 2 World Series of Poker bracelets and $5.2 million in tournament winnings. Hoyt will begin his night with $100,000. And also, Hoyt is good friends with Doyle Brunson. You can tell by their matching BFF cowboy hats.
What's it like for him to walk into a table where everybody's been so aggressive except for the cannon?
He's probably going to want to settle in and get a feel for the table before he gets too involved.
Well, that has been Houston's mantra since the word go. King, queen suited. Looks like she's going to play.
Is that 8?
Yeah.
And she just calls.
Yikes.
Daniel calls.
This level of aggression from the cannon ain't going to cut it.
Joe Hashem plays for Trey.
And I get the discount price.
Ace 10 for Reynolds.
I think everybody pretty much unanimously doesn't want you to raise.
I have to break that, but 55, hey, I could have gone bigger. I asked pot.
That's so generous.
I asked pot.
Raises. 9-8 suited for Corkins. Folds.
Not charging that much. Just
Tony G's out. The cannon's in.
She brought me.
So's Daniel.
William got Tony to fold, which is a moral victory already. Joe's got some tasty pot odds here.
And calls.
So if he would have re-raised there, I would have been like, I would have bowed and just clapped.
I mean, do I have to repot then with like whatever my range is? I think so.
The flop. 5 King 8, 2 diamonds. Top pair for Houston.
Your turn first. You got to go first.
Yeah, I know. I just like to take my time so all eyes are on me.
we don't give you that much time. When you're a hero, an internet hero, you do not have that.
Check.
Reynolds checks. One of the few times Elizabeth has actually seen community cards. Bets 15,000.
I want to see one more. I have a feeling.
Daniel folds.
I think you scooped it.
So's Joe.
15, you did scoop it.
Reynolds folds, and Houston picks up a pot of nearly 39 grand.
Not ace king. You didn't have ace king. Not ace king.
Elizabeth plays her strong hands with a very risky style, but I guess it worked out there.
Joe, it was actually one of the few times she's seen a flop.
Elizabeth has only seen 18% of the flops, so it hasn't been easy to get paid off because of her tight image. On the other hand, Tony G is playing very loose and reaping the rewards based on his stack size. Now, I don't expect Elizabeth to play like Tony, but now that she's got this image, it will only hurt her unless she learns to use it to her advantage.
Houston has reason to smile. She's inching closer to even and trying to turn a profit after 150 hands.
I'll do it.
She'll be under the gun
I'll
since
do it.
Tony's straddling again.
Consistency.
In Russia, it's better. We have a very liberal rules for straddling.
What are the rules?
Any position, any amount you like.
Whatever you want. You can just put 10,000.
People have, 100,000 I've seen.
Wow.
Straddle.
All the time.
$100,000.
$100,000 straddle.
All
And
the time.
If the
They're
guy
kind of hard to fold if you
like,
bought in
really,
for 150.
Right? Tony G committed there.
Houston folds.
Even 200, 400 game, you've seen 20,000 straddles.
Daniel raises.
It's just crazy.
Joe's out.
I've been working on
Reynolds folds. Corkins. Big slick.
I raised the pot.
Raises to 10 grand.
I think Hoyt settled in.
Tony, the straddler with a pocket pair.
I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm kind of committed here.
Since Hoyt just showed up, he may not know that committed doesn't mean pot committed in the mathematical sense.
Tony calls. So's Daniel.
Join the party.
It's just 2 chips.
Daniel must like his odds of trying to run these two down.
The flop. Ace Jack 6, a set for Tony.
This is just dirty. Hoyt's probably going to have no idea he's behind here.
He has top pair and fires 15,000.
Tony's got him absolutely smashed.
And repops to 65 grand. Easy fold for Daniel.
Put a little pressure on.
maximum pot.
At least you're not in. That means I got a chance or a fold. It's when they move straight in, then you it.
Hoyt is in a wicked spot.
Right, I'm drawing live, no matter what. Believe me, whatever you do, I'm alive in this hand. It's not like I'm putting my money in cold dead, you know?
You know those implied odds I'm always prattling on about, how if you hit a set, you can get someone's entire stack? Well, that's what Tony's attempting to do here. Against some players, this would be an insta-fold, but Tony's reputation precedes him.
You call 10,000 cold, huh? All right, I'm all in.
Corkin shoves and Tony calls.
Drawing real life.
Hoyt sees how thin he's drawing.
Wow.
Unlucky.
Yeah.
How many times would you like to run it?
I think I got to run it, what, 40 times to get one?
40 times to win one.
You want to run it twice? That means...
Okay.
We'll run it
Twice is good.
2 times.
Hoyt will need to hit runner.
Give you a chance.
The first run, 4 spades on the turn.
Hoyt's drawing dead.
I wish. Do you want to run it once?
Yeah, let's just run it once.
I make the
So
nuts.
Tony's won half the pot.
Wow.
Yeah, the absolute nuts.
All right, let's put something out there to give us a bit of hope. Okay? Dealer, I want a big card, a huge card.
Hoyt's going to need 2 huge cards.
The turn. It's a queen.
Ooh,
there it is.
Now he needs a 10.
Hoyt's picked up a straight draw.
10 to keep his money.
I think you'll get it. I have a feeling you will get it.
The river. It's a king.
How close was that?
Tony gets the sweep.
Okay, guys.
Really?
Hi, Hoyt. Bye, Hoyt.
Take care.
Take care.
All right, Hoyt.
That's right. The Alabama Cowboy gets bucked off the big game and didn't even last 8 seconds on the bull named Tony G. We're back after this. Welcome back, where the empty chair on set was just vacated by Hoyt Corkins. After lasting just a few hands, we wanted to give him more airtime, so he's with Amanda.
Hoyt, you weren't in there but a few hands. Tell me about that bad luck.
I had almost 30% of my chips in the pot, you know, on the flop after I let out for the bet, and then he came over. So, you know, the odds are against him having a huge hand like that. But, you know, I really felt like he did have a huge hand, and, you know, you lose one, don't lose two. And I thought about buying in twice, but I sort of had an uneasy feeling about this table coming in.
All right, well, I hope we see you back again.
Okay,
All right,
thanks.
thanks.
After relieving Hoyt of his chips, Tony G is now sitting on a profit of almost $225,000, which means he's got more than $750,000 in front of him.
Daniel's straddling this hand. So action on Joe. He folds. William Reynolds.
Okay, it straddled on me. Fold.
Folds. Ace-8 for Tony. Calls. 9-8 for the loose cannon. Out.
I'm going to raise you. Nothing crazy, just 2 more.
To 2,800.
I'm committed.
Tony calls.
Committed to the river. He's committed.
That phrase is just gonna stick with me for forever now.
Queen 10 deuce.
Daniel's open-ended.
I will have to check.
That and I've qualified. I qualified.
Committed and qualified.
qualified.
Like those
Daniel bets.
2 lines Tony just put into the poker dictionary at Lingo.
Tony calls.
He's committed.
Well, he qualified.
He's got hot with ace high. The turn, 5 of clubs. Tony checks.
Daniel's bricked the turn, but he shows no sign of slowing down.
That's 7,500.
If Tony thinks his ace high may be good, he's right.
He calls.
He's qualified. Okay, not qualified enough yet to raise, right?
Not enough. I'm hoping to re-qualify.
The river, the 6 of clubs. Tony checks.
Another brick for Daniel. Here comes the third barrel.
11,000.
Daniel's really hoping that Tony hasn't qualified.
Qualified with a deuce or a 10?
Ace high.
I thought for sure it was a deuce.
I think Daniel's done a pretty good job of making this look like a value bet.
Easy money. There's so much in there. Take it.
Tony calls.
What if I'm on the show betting, I can't possibly have a pair. Ace is good. I have Jack 9. It's unreal how many times.
That's being committed to the game.
Tony G, man.
You're qualified, Tony, 100%.
Clearly qualified on that flop.
I never catch anything.
Brilliant.
So annoyed
100% qualified.
Check trapped him. Check trapped.
with the ace-8.
I was just hoping I was good. Just floating it.
So Tony wins another pot of more than 50 grand. By the way, the G in his name stands for Get Him.
I'm there, I need to get my fix. And my fix is poker. So I love it and I want to take people on. I think I have to go after someone and I think I have to go after Daniel. I think I've been too nice to him for too long. And I think it's time to put the chips down and see who's a better player. That's what I'm looking for. And I want to challenge them all.
Tony made the hero call against Daniel, but in my opinion, there hasn't been a better villain on television since the cigarette smoking man.
I was wondering which direction you were going to go with that. Solid. Five-handed play continues with Joe Hashem, who folds. William Reynolds, ace-queen suited.
15.
Raises to 1,500. Pocket pair for Tony.
We'll re-raise.
Re-raises to 5 grand. Houston folds. Daniel's out.
I've never been caught this much bluffing in probably, I don't know, 10 years. Like, in the last 2 weeks.
I have to call.
I understand. I want you to call.
It's a gentleman's call.
Reynolds calls. Jack ace 7.
I'm qualified.
Oh, geez. Let me recheck my hand and the board and check to you if you qualified on that one.
Reynolds checks top pair. Tony bets 10,000.
Qualified on this board has to at least be a backdoor draw, so you have like 3-4 plus.
I do have a backdoor.
Backdoor wheel draw.
He calls.
I fold my hand right now.
Don't do it. You just hit a set on the turn.
That's part of that wheel I was talking about.
It's coming in. Be wary.
I don't think I'm as qualified as you. I check.
Reynolds checks. Tony bets 30 grand.
Such a great card for Tony. If the 3 of clubs had hit, Reynolds would have a much easier time getting away from this.
If you do call, I will check the river, don't worry. That's like the last bet that I just want to make sure I'm not in really bad shape.
To be loose and running good is deadly.
Okay, I call.
Reynolds calls, drawn dead.
But don't come out betting on me, just check it dark.
I can't do all that dark stuff.
9 of clubs on the river.
That's a river William may want to see. It might save him some money.
He checks.
That's like a river now that I'm going to be struggled to be called on. But I'll still bet 30,000.
Tony bets 30.
William's still in a tough spot here. It's now 30,000 to win 120.
Spread the pot, please. Man, Tony. You have to be value betting yourself.
Reynolds
here.
calls.
A set's good. Any set's good.
That's good.
You having a good time, Tony? Things working out for you?
But
okay?
the river cost me a lot. I mean, I could have made a real pressure cooker there. He was never going to call me.
Tony G's up more than 325 grand and his game is starting to percolate. More from Las Vegas coming your way after this. Chris Rose and Joe Stapleton back with you on the big game. We are halfway home, and Tony G can already claim a $325,000 profit. Joe Hasham's the only other player in the positive, while Hoyt and Viffer left the game early.
The loose cannon is down about 24,000, joining a host of others in the lost apartment.
So far, Joe, this session should be renamed the Tony G Show because after 75 hands, it seems like Tony's been involved in 74 of them.
Tony's definitely been the dynamic and is absolutely destroying this table. He's playing 3/4 of the hands, raising half the pots, and winning 41% of the time, nearly equaling the remaining players combined. Tony has connected a few times, and his loose image has gotten him paid off when he's in those spots, netting him a ton at showdown and a profit of over $325,000 overall.
So Tony is clearly the chief financial officer at this table. How has that affected the rest of the players?
Daniel, Joe, and William have all slightly adjusted their games. The table's pre-flop raising percentages give a good indication that these 3 are still putting up a fight in the face of Tony's aggression. Elizabeth, not so much. Post-flop, they're being a bit more passive in response to Tony by check calling, then betting the turn or river for value when Tony slows down.
All right, Joe, the loose cannon doesn't appear to be intimidated by these guys on the outside, but what do the stats say?
Chris, Elizabeth's numbers are about what you'd expect from an amateur with a complete maniac to her right. But I find she's playing bizarrely pre-flop, limping with a lot of strong hands and never 3-betting even her monsters, which is allowing the table to walk all over her. Post-flop, the loose cannon is the most aggressive player because she's usually putting her money in with premium hands. She's donk betting or betting into the pre-flop raiser on half the flops instead of letting the bullies try to bluff. When Elizabeth bets, it sets off every alarm in the building. When you're super tight pre-flop and then all of a sudden aggressive post-flop, you might as well be playing your cards face up. Evidenced by the fact that she hasn't even gotten to a single showdown in 75 hands. Elizabeth needs to start thinking more about her weak tight image. So far, these guys have her number, and it's not just because they want to take her to dinner.
I'm surprised Wiffer left, though. I'm really surprised. I guess he didn't want to damage his bankroll any further.
Who's coming?
Andrew Roble. Is he tight, or? I'm going to put a lot of pressure on this guy then.
Andrew Roble played once before on the big game. He didn't play all that tight, but he did only make it for the tail end of the week-long session.
Yeah, you've been getting there versus me. That's for sure.
That's why you're not playing on the internet. I've got small hope.
Tony looking at 8-7 and raising to 1,600. Pocket pair for the cannon.
Against Tony's range, she should be 3-betting. Also, she'd thin the field.
Nope, just calls again. Ace-queen for Daniel.
Daniel may read Elizabeth's limp as dead money.
I'm poking.
Re-raises to 7,100.
Just for the record, I'll take any 2 aces that you give me, okay?
That joke's about as funny as Yahoo Serious.
How much, though?
55 more.
That is very, very liberal.
Tony calls.
I will speculate with you.
So's the cannon.
Splash that pot.
I am like looking to make a big, big pot. Bet 50,000 in the dark.
Yeah, 50.
Trade deuce 9.
Great flop for the loose cannon. Let's see how she plays it.
That's a safe flop, Daniel. That's a safe, comfortable, relaxing flop. But I am very interested. I have actually qualified with one of those cards.
I understand.
If you make it reasonable, I will be chasing.
Okay.
Make it like 7,000.
How's 85?
8,500 it is.
I was gonna call, but she's looking at her chips, so I'm getting nervy.
Tony folds.
Let's see if Elizabeth pops Daniel right here.
She qualified as well.
Nope, just calls.
You have a set again? That would suck for me if she has another set.
4 of spades on the turn.
Check.
Daniel checks his straight draw.
Another safe card for Elizabeth. Daniel picks up a few more outs, so she should bet and keep him from getting a free card.
20.
She does, and Daniel folds.
That was very unfortunate. Set?
Show him 1, Liz.
She does.
10. Pocket 10s. Pocket 10s or 9, 10 of hearts.
Now Houston's down just a bit. Remember, she started the evening stuck over 46 grand.
Pocket 10s.
By showing there, Elizabeth really solidifies her image. She could really start to get away with some things if she wanted to. And if not, it's going to be very difficult for her to get paid.
Daniel's straddling, so Joe, UTG,
Oh,
looking at ace-king. Raises to 2,500. King 10 suited for William.
William is dominated.
But he calls. Tony, King Jack.
How many kings are in this deck?
He calls.
Tony is dominated and dominating.
Houston and Negreanu fold. The flop, Jack 6 deuce.
Tony's hit a 3-outer. Will's flopped a flush draw.
Tony bets 5,000. Hashem calls.
Joe's just called in really bad shape.
All right, to bet, you don't have to be qualified. But generally, when you call, you're qualified.
He's got his read backwards. Regardless, he's got a decent draw and an overcard, even though we know the overcard's no good.
Reynolds calls. The turn, the 7 of hearts. Tony Chi bets 20 grand.
Hashem's only got ace high.
So he folds.
Just me and you.
Just the 2.
Now I can say anything I want.
You can.
I don't feel like I give off any tells to you when I talk, but
I reckon you're good, but you might get unlucky, so should probably move all in.
every time you've said that today, you've called quicker than they've moved the chips in. Like a definitive stack.
I promise you I won't call you quick.
I'll slow roll you.
Slow rolling? Or?
I won't slow roll you. Be fair.
Tony has made it pretty expensive for William to draw.
Reynolds is going to chase.
William probably thinks there's a shot as king and 10 are good as outs too. We know neither one is.
9 of hearts on the river. Tony checks.
William can only win this with a bluff, and I'm not sure if there's an amount big enough to take Tony off top pair, especially when the flush draw busts. Let's see if he tries.
Don't think too long. Basically giving up once I checked.
You're right. I check.
Reynolds checks.
I got it. I think I got it if you check.
That's definitely got it.
Tony G wins a pot of almost 65K.
You did have me scared when I checked it on the river.
I almost want to tell you how how good you're running, but then I've got to remind myself about the 7.
Yeah.
So I've got to shut up.
Tony G doesn't need to respond to Joe because his chips are doing all the talking for him. Well, most of it. We're back after this. Welcome back to the Big Game's version of musical chairs, where seat 5 is now being occupied by its third different player tonight, Andrew Roble.
Roble enrolled at Michigan State but left early to pursue his career in poker. It's worked out pretty well for the 24-year-old, already cashing in 6 World Series events. Roble won just over $11,000 on his only other big game appearance, and he's buying in for $100,000 tonight.
Action will begin on that man, Joe Hashem, looking at Queen Jack and firing it away. King 8 for William Reynolds, who folds. Roble won't play 10 high. Tony G will play 7 high and raise. The cannon, suited connectors, playable hand.
A lot of pros would play that hand, but she is an amateur, and she was out of position.
I'm going to raise you.
Daniel announces a raise with Queen 10 suited.
What is that? I'm going to raise the pot.
Oh, this is the type of game it is, huh?
You have no idea. It's been
Every hand?
every hand. From the very first hand, too.
It's been vicious.
32 more?
To 4,400.
That's the first time I've re-raised from the big blind.
Tony calls.
You must have a really good hand.
It's true. Re-raised him from the big blind when he raised on the button? Very first time.
8 King 9 on the flop. Both have gut shots.
You must have a really good hand.
Not bad.
Did you qualify?
I qualified.
Qualified. Tony qualified.
Daniel bets 4,500. Tony calls.
Take it.
Take it usually means I fold, but in Tony's case, he can't fold because he wouldn't be wasting any money that way.
Ace of hearts on the turn.
Daniel's picked up more outs. He's got a double belly buster now.
That's 10 grand.
This board just got worse for Tony, whose pair outs are likely no longer good, and he can't make the hero call with ace high this time.
How about coming over the top to 30 grand?
Guess what I got?
Nothing.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I got. You're going to have to take it,
Maybe
sir.
a draw.
Daniel folds.
Maniac play pays off again.
Queen 10 of spades I had.
Just threw 20 in, hoping for the best. You the Mr. Roble, right?
I'm happy to be at this table. Chips are fine.
Friendlies, we're very liberal.
Bet 10,000, get raised. Insta-muck. My type of game.
You'll be able to clean us and destroy us and rip us apart.
That is exactly the game plan.
Okay, but one thing you do have to do, you have to straddle every hand. We're not having no internet kids coming here and being tight ass. All right, and you're gonna play every hand.
We're gonna get that across right away.
I got it across and that was right. You're gonna play every hand here. You don't come here and play tight, okay?
Okay.
Those are the house rules.
We'll play every hand if we can switch seats. We do a seat
No.
change.
Listen
and
to
we'll
me.
both play every
Hello,
hand.
hello.
We're having a fun game.
Hello. You're gonna play aggressive and you're gonna play loose and you're gonna be in there all the time mixing it up with me.
I am gonna bluff you for all of my chips. You are gonna
You promise?
fold like a little girl.
Tony's raised. Action folds over to Joe, who calls.
Okay, you're gonna come and take us on here. You're not gonna come and fold and wait for premium hands and show me how good you play aces and kings.
That is not how the internet players play. That's like old school live poker.
You know what? You should try to bluff Tony G off all his chips.
I can't tell if she's on Tony's side or not there.
8 ace 6, both whiff.
You sure?
Yep. Joe checks.
5,000.
Tony bets and wins.
It's like a broken record.
I'm not trying to put pressure on, but you are expected to play. You don't come here on TV playing with the stars and folding away.
Tony, the only reason I played is they told me you were gonna be on the show. They just called me right now at my house and they're like, we got a game with Tony G. And I got here as fast as I could.
And
so
if you didn't,
we're
someone
gonna-
else would have. It was a race and you just beat someone else.
Roble looks at ace 9, folds.
And you folded every hand and you're tilting me up so much. Hello?
I have folded 2 hands.
Tony raises the
No
Brunson.
straddle.
What is
Again,
going
no
on
straddle.
here? Bring someone that's gonna play a hand.
Okay, I'll play.
I honestly can't tell if Tony's actually mad or not.
Well, I'm the donkey. I gotta sit here and play every hand?
I have a maniac on my left.
What maniac? I'm just playing.
You have to play tight when you have a maniac on your left.
That's a boring answer, but he's right.
6-6 ace trips for Daniel. This could be fun. Tony fires 1,500.
Tony's done a little of the work for him.
Daniel raises.
Daniel thinks you can just take it from me.
This would be a bad time for Tony to get aggressive.
You can. I mean, I can't defend it any
I
longer.
have 3 sixes, by the way.
Really?
Of course, yeah. Because if I would have had nothing, you would have just played. But because I have 3 sixes, you have to fold.
That is sick. If you had 3 sixes, really?
I did, yes.
That's sick.
Is there ante on the big blind or
On the button, yeah.
But I mean, the most I could do is 1 raise there.
Yeah, you had just nothing. So.
Daniel hasn't caught a break tonight.
So 10 deuce is a qualifying hand that you should be at least committing about $5,000 worth into. That's what I'm doing.
you must have not saw the last big game. I played 10 deuce like 3 times.
Okay, well, I didn't see it. I haven't got the time, but congratulations.
Haven't got the time. He's busy
How
playing.
How much did you win? Did you win a lot?
I won very small, like 11,000.
I want you to have a real swing today, like a real massive mega swing of your bankroll.
Andrew knows all about bankroll mega swings. When he first started playing, he went from 0 to $1 million to 0 again in just a few months.
Houston calls Tony straddle. Daniel, 10-4 suited. He's in. Joe's out. William Reynolds, ace-4, folds. Roble, queen-5.
I would limp, but I'm very afraid you're going to raise.
Uh-oh.
Oh my God, what the hell just happened here?
Don't yell at him, Tony.
Obviously, I'm going to raise. But just 1,000 more.
Tony raises.
You see, I can predict the future.
Houston calls.
If you had been in, I would have raised the pot. I can tell you that much.
So's Daniel. The flop. 6-Jack-8.
But I'm not completely stupid.
Tony bets 3 grand with middle pair.
Top pair for the loose cannon.
Raises to 6,000. Daniel folds.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
I qualified and I'm going to fold.
The cannon has a hand. You may now fold.
Just because it's you.
That's
okay.
sick. That's one of the biggest laydowns we've ever seen on the show.
For me, it is.
Tony folding a pair to a min raise on the flop.
I want to be known as the protector of the loose cannon. The defender.
All right, let's see next week when the loose cannon's a dude.
Well, now Elizabeth has turned a profit. See if she can protect it after this. Welcome back to the big game. The loose cannon has really turned things around tonight. Elizabeth Houston started playing a $46,000 hole and is now staring at a profit of 10.5 grand.
What's your name, by the way?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
From Canada.
I'm Andrew. Nice to meet
She's
you.
single.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Are you really single, Elizabeth?
She's single.
That's wonderful.
Canadian, single.
She doesn't want to talk about being single. Doubling through, that's another matter.
Almost everyone in this game has taken their shot with the loose cannon so far. Interpret that how you will.
Tony G straddles, so action on the cannon, who folds. Ace-6. Raises to 2,800. Hashem folds. William Reynolds, ace-queen. Calls from the small blind. Roble folds. Pocket pair for Tony.
We've seen Tony 3-bet far worse than this.
A rare moment of reflection.
Wow, what are you thinking about? You never think about anything.
I'm thinking how much to raise.
We're pot limit, so your options are limited.
I'm going to raise at 2,000.
Repops to 4,800.
Yeah, that's the play right there.
Daniel calls.
Now you could be the hero here. Make it 4.
Reynolds calls.
Make it 2
Get
more.
really deep with me.
Juice the pot a little bit.
The flop. Trey ace king
Reynolds flops top.
and checks. Tony checks.
They check to Daniel, who's in position and probably likes his ace at this point.
Bets 10 grand as Daniel.
Williams played passively in a lot of spots. I know he's not going to fold.
Raise.
Reynolds announces a raise. To 22,000.
I did have a hand of significant value that I would have been completely committed to before the flop.
Tony folds.
You behind me, I know I can't call.
Even Tony knows when he's beat. And now we're down to William and Daniel, familiar foes from Daniel's room.
I like these heads-up ones with Daniel.
Yeah, just like online.
Like getting heads up. One-on-one, we can tango, we can dance.
Okay, now I figured it out. Okay, never mind. I wasn't sure what to do. Now I do. Never mind.
Daniel calls.
Dancing song that puts you in the right zone, huh?
8 of diamonds on the turn.
Daniel may think Williams talking makes him look weak.
Reynolds checks.
Could be the check that makes him look weak as well.
Daniel bets 16,000.
Well, if William was trying to induce Daniel to bet, he's accomplished that.
It's a lot of thinking for one pair there.
There's a lot of thinking. But I came to the conclusion.
Time to ship it.
No, even dirtier.
Min raise, min click.
There's a min raise.
That's dirty. How much you got left? Let me see. I can see it. Never mind.
This is a value raise. William is pretty confident in his hand, and he's hoping Daniel levels himself into putting some more money into this pot.
Which he does. Queen of diamonds on the river.
Pretty good river card for William.
Yep, makes him 2 pair.
You can't still be thinking. You already knew what you were going to do if I called.
Wasn't expecting just a call.
Oh, you thought I just put it in?
Fold, I thought.
That's how much Williams got behind.
I didn't know you had that little. I miscounted your chips. I thought you had like 60, so. Just for the record, I really didn't know you only had 26 left. That would have changed things for me, you're right.
Okay, I'm gonna put 26-4 in.
Reynolds shoves.
Oh, you obviously had me beat then, I assume.
This is a pretty small bet into that size pot. Can Daniel get away from the hero call?
He can.
It could have been a chop.
Probably was.
What's the other one?
It was probably a chop.
Probably, so you couldn't beat the 8?
Did you already see that one? I got in the double check raise there. Don't see that very often.
I'm putting another 100 on.
The triple check raises the trifecta, and it's an accolade all poker players aspire to.
Daniel adds another 100 on. It's been a crazy week for him. He was up 160 at one point, now down 121. Tony G, on the other hand, is dominating the table.
His $372,000 profit is the most ever for any big game session. Tony's been impressive, but another good story is the Loose Cannons comeback. Elizabeth is up again.
All right, guys, that's it for tonight. Elizabeth, you dug yourself out of the hole and you're back to positive. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Very optimistic.
Yeah?
I'm gonna protect her. I'm here. I'm her protector.
He's flirting with
My
you.
angel.
She's my angel. I'm her protector.
All right, guys, that's it for tonight. I'm Amanda Leatherman saying goodbye for now. And remember, if you've got the cash and the guts, there's always a seat open at the big game. Good night, everybody.
For Joe Stapleton, I'm Chris Rose. See you tomorrow night.
It's the Tony G show when Tony G is getting grilled.
William, that was some hand.
Yeah, I got in a double check raise on a board you normally don't see a double check raise. Can't believe you folded the river.
Yeah, I had an ace.
I showed you an ace, so I already basically showed you my hand. I had ace queen.
Ace queen? Okay, so I made an okay call.
The preceding was a presentation from PokerStars.com.